Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for being here today and listening to my research concerning this topic that is just so very important to me. My name is Sophie Wallace, and today I'm going to be discussing the topic of young people's mental health and the complex impacts of social media on their mental health. So, before we dive into my research, I want to address this question of why. Why did I choose to study this topic? Why did I feel as if this topic was worth being studied and researched? Well, the answer is very simple. I feel as if this topic is a massive problem in today's world, and it's one that is just not given very much attention or research or resources, and people just tend to ignore it. Secondly, I wanted to research this topic because in every aspect of our lives, technology has been embraced. Young people are given different types of technology as soon as they enter into the public school system, whether it's a laptop or a Chromebook. This is just the way that children learn now. They are given these pieces of technology and are expected to use it, and the way that this impacts their development, the way their mind works, and the way it impacts their mental health, it's just not even considered. Technology defines our life as a society now, and we've not even considered how this is going to impact the young people who are one day going to raise their own families, have their own children, and run our country. We just haven't thought about it. And it's because of these two reasons that I'm so passionate about this topic. And I understand that this issue is a complex issue. There are both pros and cons. Social media connects young people together. It gives them a community. They're able to see themselves and other people. They are inspired. They feel a part of a community. But I also understand that social media impacts them in ways they don't recognize, in negative ways they don't recognize. And it is these negative impacts that I really want to focus on in this presentation today. So before we dive in, I want to talk to you, just give you a little bit of context into the creation and growth of social media. Think back with me to the year 1997. Now, I'm not old enough to think back to 1997, but I'm sure most of you, my audience, is able to think back to that time. So the first social media app, 6 Degrees, comes out in 1997. This is a communication app where people can make profiles and can friend one another and give updates on what's going on in their life. It's your basic social communications app. It lasts for 3 years and then it slowly dies. It just doesn't take off the way that the creators were hoping to. Well, that wasn't the end of social media. As you know, in 2004, Facebook is created. Then in 2005, we get Reddit. 2006, we get Twitter, which is now X, which is an entire thing that we won't go into. Now we get 2010, Instagram, which is huge now. In 2011, Snapchat, and then in 2016, we get TikTok, which, as we all know, is what children spend most of their time on. I would also like to direct your attention to this chart here. It is actually from the Pew Research Center, and it gives the percentage of U.S. teens between the ages of 13 and 17 that use the following apps. So you'll see that most kids between these ages spend most of their time on YouTube. Then you'll see TikTok, Instagram comes next, and then Snapchat at 55%. So you'll see that most kids between the ages of 13 and 17 spend a lot of time on these social media apps. 55% of them spend time on Snapchat, 61% on Instagram. These are just the basic numbers. It's just the way that the world works now. So now we dive in. How does social media impact young people? Well, we're gonna see. So I've highlighted for you the top 4 impacts of social media on young people. These are the top 4. Like I said, there are so many other ones, but I highlighted these because they are they're the biggest and kind of the most important. I would like to draw your attention to the rising rates of depression and anxiety in young people. This is just something that grows at a huge rate. If you meet a young person today between the ages of 13 and 18, they most likely struggle with some type of anxiety and some type of depressive thoughts. It's just how the world works. And then number two, young people often feel insecure in their own bodies when they spend too much time on social media. They begin to compare themselves to others, and it's just hard and it's wrong, but it happens. Number three, many young people fall victim to online bullying when they spend too much time on social media. And that's hard, but it's true. They begin to experience bullying, and it's sad. And number four, social media impacts the sleeping habits of young people. And I know that this doesn't seem extremely serious, but when young people are developing and spending time at school and using all of their energy and in sports and extracurricular activities as well as school, they need sleep. And if social media is impacting the way they sleep, then they're going to struggle and they're going to suffer. So the next question is, why don't people just delete the app? Why don't we? Why don't we? Isn't that the simple solution to all of these problems? Well, I would like to introduce you to the idea of the addictive nature of social media. Many people have a difficult time deleting social media accounts because they're actually addicted to them. This isn't just something that we make up. This feeling of addiction to our phones isn't just something that we think is a funny thing to joke about, like, oh, I'm addicted to social media, it's my pastime, it's my favorite thing to do when I'm bored. No, the way that our brain works when we receive likes and we receive attention on social media, this actually sends dopamine to our brain, and dopamine, if you don't know, is actually what allows our brains to feel pleasure and happiness and excitement. So when we receive these likes, we genuinely feel pleasure, we feel happy. Our brain thinks that this is a good thing happening to us, and so we become addicted to this. And this is why we struggle, because we feel good. We think we feel good when we spend too much time on social media, and then we turn it off and we don't feel very good anymore. So social media and spending too much time on social media genuinely becomes a behavioral addiction. According to the Caron Research Center, which is a research center in Florida, this becomes a behavioral addiction such as a gambling addiction or a drug addiction when we don't have anything going on, or we're standing in line waiting for a cup of coffee, or there's an awkward silence between you and a peer. We grab our phones and we look and we start scrolling on social media because we don't have anything else to do. We want to feel that pleasure, so it becomes a behavioral addiction. And that's why people just don't delete the app. That's why we can't take that simple step, because we want to feel that pleasure. So what can we do? What can we do to help your kids? Well, help your kids create healthy habits and healthy boundaries. This is so important. They need to understand that spending an hour on social media does not have to be a negative thing. But if they're spending 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours on social media, they need these boundaries, because spending that much time on social media is really going to affect the way that they think, the way they operate, and how they're living. Now, the next is to create safe spaces for your children. Allow your kids to feel safe where they are. This is important. They need to know that their parent, is there to help them and to listen to them and to not judge their decisions or to make them feel bad for what they're doing. Next can be a little bit hard. Be a model of what healthy boundaries looks like. You need to practice what you preach. You need to be a model for your child and to help them understand that this is what's important. This is how you deal with social media in a healthy way. And then lastly, encourage other interests and pastimes. Let your child understand that social media isn't bad. Spending too much time on social media is bad. Help them find new hobbies. Let them bake a cake, go on a run, play outside, go swimming, join a sports team. All of these things. These are different pastimes that they can enjoy and that you should encourage. So what are the possible solutions to this major issue? Now, I've just discussed how you can help your kids, but I don't want you to feel as if all of this problem lies on the shoulders of you, the parents. It doesn't. You should be able to also be able to rely on the help of society, on teachers, on people like that. So these next solutions are going to be just ideas of how we as a society can help parents as their child struggles with their mental health. So what are these solutions? Well, the first, I've only highlighted 4 solutions. There are other ones that are mentioned in my works cited page as well. If you would like and are interested in seeing more, just let me know. But I've highlighted 4 solutions that I find to be really important and very much just like the biggest 4 that could make the biggest impact the quickest. The first is going to be education. Education is so vital. We need to teach kids to be aware of how social media is impacting them. And we can start this when they're very, very young, teaching them good boundaries with social media, when they're given their Chromebook, when they're given their little Kindle laptop, or whatever type of technology they're using in school. They need to understand that boundaries are important. This is what it's used for. This is how you do it. And I think that from a young age, education could be really helpful in letting them understand what is happening to their brains when they spend too much time on social media. Secondly, therapy. I do believe that a lot of parents are afraid of, putting their child in therapy. They don't want their child to be judged by other kids or something of that nature. It's just hard to ask for help sometimes. But I think it's important to let children know that they have these options available and that there is someone else who is able to listen to them besides their parents. Because sometimes you don't feel comfortable coming to your parents, or sometimes you just don't have that kind of relationship with them, or maybe parents or guardians are not in the picture. So it's important to let them know that help is available, and we need to freely offer therapy or group therapy or things of that nature to these young kids, because group therapy and sharing your experiences with others, and not only if they feel as if it's too personal, just sharing it with a therapist, this can definitely really help them, and it's important in getting better at being better. And then lastly, I'm sorry, I have 2 more. Putting off social media until an appropriate age. I do think that this is a huge, huge thing that a lot of creators of social media could implement in their applications. And I know that this is a huge kind of overhaul of how social media operates. But if we put age limits on it, if we don't allow a child to join a social media app until they're 15, 16, how much better could their lives be improved or their mental health be improved if they didn't do that? And so I just really think that if we put age limits on these social media apps, it would really improve how children are dealing with their mental health. And then lastly, monitor children's use of social media. This can be in every phase of life. Not every phase of life, just in every part of life where a child is given technology. We can monitor their use of technology and make sure that they are receiving healthy boundaries, creating healthy boundaries, and receiving healthy wisdom and just healthy ways to operate using social media. And then next, here is my works cited. If you're curious, there's so many good sources here. This is where I pulled all my information from. If you have any questions or want to know more, feel free to ask me, or just look through these sources because they're so great. And then, thank you so much for being here today. I hope you learned a lot. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.